So talking about evolutionary algorithms in general, it's really about learning how to learn. I think, being able to change the way that your software performs learning as a whole is intrinsically evolutionary. Okay, so evolution has these advantages of being creative, of finding novel, surprising solutions. And there's a lot of work at the moment about novelty search, notions of surprise and how we might use surprise to learn new things. So in general, I think it's really about creating new paradigms for learning that don't involve just throwing immense amounts of data and kind of crossing our fingers. And with my stuff, my goal, which is unlikely to happen during my lifetime, is to consider robots as a species that are selected using a Darwinian mechanism that can create themselves in a way using 3D printing. So not in the sense of, the Terminator or self-reproducing machines or anything like that. We very carefully don't do that. But what I'm saying is we could have a small factory that has all the components to build a load of robots. And we could deploy it out, on an asteroid, in deep sea, in deep space, anywhere where we can't get humans easily, or we don't want to put humans, right? And this factory can learn using the ability to create robots about the best types of robots to use in a certain situation.
So this evolutionary way of learning, can you imagine that is going to be like a default embed in smart systems in the future?
Yeah, it certainly could be. I mean, the thing with putting systems on, in smart homes and things like that, is that those systems have already been trained. So there's no learning really going on there. But what you could do is you could carry on the process online, and obviously there's difficulties in doing that, especially if it's controlling your thermostat, your air conditioning, things like that. But certainly there's the ability to embed this kind of lifetime ongoing learning process, and evolution is a way to do that.
Yeah.
One thing that we do here is we deploy robots into, for example, a rainforest to perform biodiversity studies, and we don't know the conditions in that rainforest really. And it would be good to have robots that can, not only adapt how they behave, but have the process that adapts their bodies as well. And when we start to do that, we're heading into the realms of this thing called embodied cognition. Embodied cognition is basically the opposite to Descartes' I think, therefore I am. So we could consider maybe deep learning to be that I think, therefore I am, where I am a system and I just learn things and then I've learned that thing. What embodied cognition is saying is to be intelligent in that sense, in the embodied sense, you need a body and you need a brain and you need to act in an environment. And if you've got all those things together, it's the interactions between the body and the brain, the body and the environment, that generates these really useful, rich behaviors that can help us solve really tricky problems. And one way of doing that, is evolution. So we can use evolution to design robot bodies. We can use evolution to learn the controllers that operate those bodies, if you will, that receive the sensor information, that push out commands to the wheels or to the legs to move it around. And obviously they're all situated in this environment, so the environment plays a key role. If you imagine having a legged robot trying to walk through the jungle, it's going to need to behave very differently than walking across an ice rink. Okay, and that's where the environment really critically links into how we generate these behaviors.